Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Shri Radhe. Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Jagannath Balat Jaya Jaya Jagannath Jagannath Baladev Jaya Jaya Subhadra. Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaura Hari Bol. Nitai Gaura Premanande. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Ashtotra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Ashtotra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki. प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की. श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की. वृंदावन धाम की, मथुरा धाम की, नवद्वीप धाम की, जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की, गंगा माई की, यमुना देवी की, तुलसी देवी की. श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की. Nitai Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone. We're reading from 2nd Canto, chapter 5, titled The Cause of All Causes, and we'll be reading from text 4, which is on the board. Before we chant that, before we read the verse, we recite the invocation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Yad Vijnano Yadadaro Yat Parastvam Yadatmakaha Ekashijasi Bhutani Bhutarevatma Mayaya Yad Vijnano Yad Adharo Yat Parastvam Yadatmakaha Ekashijasi Bhutani Bhutairevatma Mayaya Yad Vijnano Yad Adharo Yat Parastvam Yadatmakaha Ekashijasi Bhutani Bhutairevatma Mayaya Okay, word for word. Yat Vijnana, the source of knowledge. Yat Adhara, under whose protection. Yat Para, under whose subordination. Tvam, you. Yat Atmaka, in what capacity? Eka, alone. Srijasi, you are creating. Bhutani, the living entities. Bhute, with the help of the material elements. Eva, certainly. Atma, self. Mayaya, by potency. Translation. My dear Father, what is the source of your knowledge? Under whose protection are you standing? And under whom are you working? What is your real position? Do you alone create all entities with material elements by your personal energy? Purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Purport. It was known to Sri Narada Muni that Lord Brahma attained creative energy by undergoing severe austerities. As such, he could understand that there was someone else superior to Brahmaji who invested Brahma with the power of creation. Therefore, he asked all the above questions. Discoveries of progressive scientific achievements are therefore not independent. The scientist has to attain the knowledge of a thing already existing by means of the wonderful brain made by someone else. A scientist can work with the help of such an awarded brain, but it is not possible for the scientist to create his own or a similar brain. Therefore, no one is independent in the matter of any creation, nor is such creation automatic. Om Jnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Shute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatirubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Again, welcome everyone. All of you here and on Mayapur TV. So this chapter is titled The Cause of All Causes. And we see, this is verse 4, and in the preceding verses we see how Narada Muni is questioning Lord Brahma, or what's, can you please explain what's going on here? And the question that he asks, my dear father, what is the source of your knowledge? Under whose protection are you standing, and under whom are you working? What is your real position? Do you alone create all entities with material elements by your personal energy? The last part's important. He's asking, do you create all this by your personal energy? So Narada Muni understands by seeing that Lord Brahma went through so many austerities. So that means there's someone else who's awarding him the result of his austerities. So there's got to be something higher than what he can perceive as Lord Brahma. In the grand conceit of worldview, the opposite of what's being spoken here, because obviously this is meant to address someone, and that someone is actually us in the grand view of things. So in the grand conceit of this whole worldview, there is this notion that man is the cause of everything. And quite often there is an underlying arrogant presumption that that all reality that exists is actually subordinate to my sense perception and intellect. That means everything that I can perceive, I can, by my own intelligence, understand that's reality. And that's the notion by which this world is carrying on today. So it's subordinate, everything is subordinate to my sense, intellect, and perception. In other words, everything's subordinate to me. And we, quite often, when we read Srila Prabhupada's books, new and experienced, even experienced readers of Srila Prabhupada's books come across, Prabhupada really fighting against this notion time and time again. He leaves no opportunity to combat this, and quite often, sometimes even devotees get mildly irritated that why is Prabhupada really repeating this over and over again? But again, this is the core root of a conditioning that we are the cause of everything. And I'll just start off with a small story. I think 3 years ago, when we were out in book distribution when we were going out with Bhaja Govinda Prabhu, and whole bunch of devotees would go. And up until then, I just thought that this whole thing of the living entities claiming themselves to be God is just in Prabhupada's books. I never thought it exists beyond that. I was yet to see a personal example of does this even manifest in the world outside. So I was distributing books as the Harinam was going on, and this one gentleman comes up to me. And he's asking me, what is this going on? And this is, and then, usually you start off with a very universal answer. This chanting is meant for the good of everyone. As I told him that this chanting is meant because there's so much of disharmony in the world. So this chanting is meant to uplift people from that state of suffering and bring them to a level of, happiness. And then he nodded along. Then he was walking along with us. And then, as usually when we're out in book distribution, we like to see as many people to give books to. But this person was just hanging on, just asking me one question after the other. And I had at that time first canto of the Bhagavatam, the first, what do you call it, part 1, chapters 1 to 8. So I had that with me, and then I just gave it to him. I'm like, okay, just leave me alone. Just have this book, but he wouldn't let go. Finally, he, as we were coming closer to where we were going to end the Harinam, then our conversations, got a bit more intense. He's like, why are you doing this? What do you get out of this? I said, these are the books and Vedic teachings, and usually when it's Bhagavatam, first canto, I ask them to read the very end of that book, the back side of the book that talks about the glories of Bhagavatam, and then he looks at it. Okay, he said, "Do you know who I am?" I thought at first he meant to say he was a celebrity that I need to know. So I look at him. No, my humble apologies. I don't know who you are. What? You don't know who I am? I said, if you make me aware of who you are, then I'll probably, know. And then he said, I am God. And I look at him like, wow. And I said, okay, very nice to see you, God. I don't get to see you every day, but I'm glad I got to see you. And I said, what brings you here? And he said, I'm here to learn new experiences. I'm here to learn what people are doing these days. I said, wow, interesting. People are really, if you're God and if you want to learn new experiences, then good luck. And then he looks at me and he said, what will this book offer me? And that time I remembered Vijaya Prabhu, book distributor Vijaya Prabhu always says that he uses many arguments when he meets atheists. And then he said, I remembered what he said when you meet interesting people. Then I said, his argument to atheists he tells the atheists, I know you consider God to be your enemy, and the atheists say yes. And then he says, well, there are so many things that you agree to this part that there are so many things that you don't know, and the atheists say, yeah, there's so many things we don't know. Then here you go, you'll know more. So I told this person that there are so many experiences, there are so many things that you don't know, and this book will tell you what exactly is missing in this universe that completes it. Oh, I said this book was just published in 1970. And he said, last time I was here on earth was 1950s. So I said, okay, take this book. And he took this book, and I asked, can I get your number? Because, if there's a potential for me to distribute more books. He said, I don't give my number to anyone. And he walked away. And he disappeared. And that was the first time I ever actually saw someone who believed or who lived this philosophy that I'm God. Now, we accept everything as reality, what we see. Einstein said that we live in this multi-dimensional universe. And he said, His Holiness Badri Narayan Swami gave a really nice article in a Back to Godhead magazine titled June 2018, in which he gives this example. So let's say, for example, Bhava Prabhu, tomorrow you and I decide to meet in the city. We agree to meet in Sydney CBD. One example, let's say, we meet at the intersection of York Street. What's another intersection of York Street? George. So let's say we agree to meet on York Street, the intersection of York Street and George Street. Now, to be more specific, we'll say we'll meet at the northwest corner of this intersection. If we say we meet at 10, so you show up at 9:45 and are waiting for me, and I show up at 10, and we really want to meet each other. But we don't meet each other. Time goes by, half an hour goes by, and then guess what? Our time is up, we have to run to other things, so we run. The next day we meet and we say, I asked Bhava Prabhu, you weren't there. And Bhava Prabhu will be, no, I was there. I was there exactly at the northwest corner of York Street and George Street at 9:45, and I waited until 10:30 and I didn't see you. And in defense, I'll also say the same. Now add to that a building. So then we add another dimension of length and breadth, a building. I was there. But what if we add the dimension of height? Let's say if I was in the ground floor and Bhava Prabhu was on the 5th floor. Both of us were there, one on the ground floor, one on the 5th floor, on two separate dimensions. That means on two absolutely different, in one sense, sets of reality. And we didn't meet. So, in a similar way, this universe, like Einstein said, exists in a multi-dimensional plane, and we can't perceive what we can't see. So now the yogis and mystics can see beyond what we perceive, and so they are able to give us what you see, the knowledge that's given here, or what exists beyond or what we see. A lot of times there's this common thing that we see, right? We say to each other, as far as we can see. As far as I can see, that happens. But the question is that how far are you seeing? So we fail to understand our limitations as conditioned living entities, and that because of that limitation, we really can't perceive things beyond our perception. Now, let's say I attribute that, the topic here is the cause of all causes. So we understand that we are not the cause of all causes, right? We come to that understanding, we are not the cause of all causes. So then what is the cause of all causes? And a common philosophy in the world today is that the theory of impersonalism. And we see, again, Prabhupada's really drilling on this point of what is impersonalism and how we should guard ourselves against it. Unfortunately, so much, this philosophy of impersonalism is not only just tied to religious doctrine or philosophies that we study or philosophies that we see in traditions around the world, but it extends even beyond that. And we may not realize how we are being allured by it because of its attractiveness. Like I said last week, automation. So what is impersonalism? In essence, taking out the person out of the whole scheme of things. Automation, one example. Another example that we see, especially in the field of education, is, I'm not sure if you've heard it because I heard it for the first time, was competency-based learning. Now what's learning to us, right? We have a classroom and there's a teacher, and the teacher works with students, and the teacher works individually with each student. I mean, let's say that's the principle. So the teacher can judge the aptitude of the student and scale the learning, based on that person's receptivity. But in competency-based learning, there's one generic or there's one blanket template. So let's say they design this course or they design this whole syllabus based on, there'll be, let's say, 10 modules, and this is the minimum required benchmark for this person to get past this course. And if this person does, then he passes this course, and if he or she doesn't, then has to keep repeating. That's competency-based learning. Now, and on one side, it seems very attractive because it somehow gives us the picture of equality. Oh, it's all equal. But guess what? If there's a student who's very bright, he'll find this to be very boring, right? He or she will be able to pass it and then say, you know what? There was no challenge for me. I can't. What was there for me? I literally, this was just a piece of cake. On the other hand, someone who's very poor or someone who's not up to that skill level, he or she will just be frustrated because they just can't pass it. So you're really not bringing out the best in the student here by bringing this whole sense of equality, by this medium of competency-based learning. Another area where this principle of impersonalism or this philosophy of impersonalism pervades our life is, today we see, and there was this model demonstrated, I think a few years ago, of a smart home. Right? What is a smart home? You live in a home, let's say in a home there are different items, a fridge, a bed, and all that stuff, a fridge. So the fridge, basically you stock up fridge with different items such as milk, vegetables, and the fridge will then determine, based on whatever you feed into it, that you're running low of milk. So next time you're at the grocery store, you get a reminder on your phone or on your watch, you're running out of milk, get milk. In a smart home, you'll find at times there are some sensors around the doorknobs that when you touch it, it gauges your temperature. So someday when your temperature is very high, it'll automatically give you a pop-up, hey, your temperature is high, go get yourself checked. Very, very attractive, but what's wrong here? Or what is this leading to? That in this house is everything except for a person. So you don't have anyone to call you when you're at the grocery store that, hey, a wife calls a husband or the other, or a parent calls you, say, get milk. Similarly, there's no one there to check your temperature and tell you that, you may get yourself checked because your temperature is running high. So that's the world we are heading towards. And this theory of impersonalism is so prominent that unless we are able to see through it, we'll just fall victims to it. And we'll also see there's nothing wrong with it. And that's what Prabhupada really, really, really wants us to guard against. Prabhupada's pranam mantra, nirvishesha shunyavadi praschachajeshvatarine. He himself composed a pranam mantra where he's saying he's here to destroy this theory of impersonalism that's pervading our contemporary life. Now, what does this theory of impersonalism lead us to? Why is it dangerous? Right? That's the question, because if a lot of times you would always see Prabhupada write in letters, this impersonalism is the last snare of Maya. Maya can allure us by wealth, fame, popularity, whatever it is, but this very theory of impersonalism is its last snare. So we need to, again, guard ourselves against it, because what happens is, let's say if I'm playing some sort of professional sport, and obviously if I'm playing a sport, I have an opponent, right, that I'm facing. What's the number one mistake I can make? What's the number one mistake I can make in regards to the opponent? Underestimate the opponent, right? This opponent, a lot of times even us as devotees, we run into that notion. Oh, Mayavad, impersonalism, we just laugh it off. Oh, it's nothing, we know what we're talking about. But again, here, this is dangerous. Now, what does impersonalism lead us to? The very principle that causes our suffering is that matter is the cause of everything. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, actually, if you just refer to Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela, chapter 6, verse 15, you'll really see Prabhupada going just all out against this whole principle of matter being the cause of everything. And he expands on the commentary by Baladev Vidyabhushan, because Sankhya philosophy says that matter has no cause, and matter itself is the cause of everything. Now, do they just say it, matter is the cause of everything, and leave it there? No, they actually go on to give certain examples, and how that example itself on its own seems so convincing that even when I read it, I had to read it 5 times, and then I finally got it. Oh, okay, this is what Prabhupada is. Now, the examples are given, and Prabhupada, through the medium of Baladev Vidyabhushan, offers arguments to defeat those examples. So we understand, there are 2 causes, nimitta and upadana, efficient and material cause. And Sankhya say that, again, matter is the cause of everything. And the examples that they give are, they basically say that the source of the energy is the same as the product of these energies. And what they say, some examples that they give is water pot. What is the water pot made of? Clay. So they say clay is the cause, and the water pot which is made of clay is the effect. So the cause and effect are the same. What they're trying to do is equate the cause and effect, that these are the same. So clay is matter. What it produces, water pot, is also matter. So guess what? Both are matter. A tree is matter, and a tree produces fruit. Basically, they say water is matter, and water produces the currents. So water is, all of it's actually matter. And then Baladev Vidyabhushan says, and they go on to say that matter on its own can produce intuition and tendency. Now, what is offered there is clay pot. Okay, this Prabhupada starts off, or that purport starts expanding on this clay pot and water pot and clay example. Okay, you use this example of a clay and a water pot, but does the water pot actually experience pleasure and distress? A few years ago, I think, whenever His Holiness Bhakti Rasamrit Swami was here with us last 2018, he visited Sydney last, and he gave a class, he gave a seminar on environmental crisis a spiritual crisis? Something to that extent, right? And we had newcomers there, and good, really, Maharaj spoke on that. And then in the end, he gave this talk, and there were a few questions by many people. And there's one young Lithuanian gentleman. I forget his name. He used to come. Karolis. Karolis. You see me, recognize him. So he put up his hand and he said that, "Thank you, you spoke very, very well. Can you explain what will the world look like when AI, artificial intelligence, takes its hold?" Somehow or the other, there's this notion that's going on in the world that robots will take over and they'll keep human as pets. This is actually going on in the world today. And, these robots, they can perform all the functions that a human being does. And we're seeing that slowly. That's, by the use of, if you look at technology, previously you would call a company and guess what? Who will pick up? Who will answer the phone? A person, and that person will ask, "How can I help you?" and walk you through what you need. But now when you call that company, you're actually speaking to an automated system, which you have to work through and then get. But now there's another step forward which has happened, which is called chatbots. You go onto a company's website and you type in a question, and there's a program chatbot saying, yes, and there are a set of answers that you can, and when it reaches that limit of they can answer you, then guess what? They'll put you to a person. So I'm not speaking the glories of artificial intelligence, but this person was explaining to Maharaj that, what is this? And Maharaj said, and he said that, chatbots, these robots can do all these things, and, tomorrow there's a sick person, a chatbot can come and, administer or, look after these, sick people, and that way the future is much more brighter. And then Maharaj said, okay, I'll just interrupt you there. Can the robot experience what you're experiencing when you step out of the patio and you see sunlight? Or you see sunlight as soon as, just after a rainfall, and you see the cloud that is just receding, and you observe the rainbow. Can the robot experience what you're experiencing? And this person said, no. He said that then. That very sense of us experiencing that tendency to observe and appreciate, that comes from soul being in the body. And that's where there's a difference between matter and spirit. You can't really, these two are separate. Matter comes from matter, and again, proceeding to that same example of CC, where actually it said that intuition and tendency, matter has this inherent property of tendency and intuition. And so, as Prabhupada goes on to explaining, let's see example of a car and a driver. We'll see a car turning left and right. And the car has a tendency to turn left and right, but how? Because of the driver. The driver is making the car go left and right. When a male and female come together, the male injects the semen into the female. The semen contains the soul, and then what we see is later on, what comes out is the female, the mother supplies the material ingredients for the body of the child, which is known as a material cause, and when the baby is born, it's known as the efficient cause. So where Sankhya stop is they stop at the efficient and the material cause. They don't go beyond it. But in the same example of a woman and a man and a child being born, what they fail to see is that the male is the cause of this child being born. Obviously, there are many factors, but that's where it all starts. Other thing that's explained in that purport is that matter produces things. And the example that they give is when a cow eats a straw, when it eats straws, it produces milk. So Prabhupada writes there, look at these rascals. What if I give a bull straw? Will the bull produce milk? What if I give the straw to a female? Will the female produce milk? And if a straw on its own can produce milk, then they are going against Krishna's statement, the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verse 10, Maya Dikshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Everything's working under my direction. And under all this, certain things, certain actions are being carried out. So they fail to see these things, and then because if we just go by these arguments on its own, we'll be convinced that matter is the cause of everything. But again, to our great fortune, we have the text of the Acharyas who are guiding us out of this illusion of what it actually means. And how do we see it through the eyes of Shastra. Time is running out, but I'll refer to this article that was written by, or this class that was given by Thomas Badri Narayan Swami in a Back to Godhead magazine that was documented. And he was quoting a TED Talk speaker, Rupert Sheldrake, sorry. And this talk was given on Jan 13, 2013. It was a famous TED Talk called Science Delusion. And today, this talk has been removed from all platforms. But the core point was that science rests on 10 dogmas. And Badrinaran Swami goes on to say that the scientists say, just give us one miracle and we'll explain the rest to you. Just give us that one free miracle and we'll explain the rest. So to further this Rupert Sheldrake says, what is that miracle? The appearance of all matter and energy along with its governing laws and principles existing at a singular point. That is the miracle that they just want to just, from somewhere to just manifest, and from there on they'll explain. So what this leads to is that what the scientists are giving us is actually the secondary explanation or secondary source of creation. There is the primary source of creation. So there's no such thing as a free lunch. A lot of times we go about and people ask us, and we say there's no such thing as free lunch. So there's no such thing as a free miracle. But that's what the scientists are really hoping. And Prabhupada will always say that he gave the analogy of a post-dated check. In the future, we will come about where we can exactly tell you how things are created. And you see in the purport here, a scientist can work with the help of such an awarded brain, but it is not possible for the scientist to create his own or a similar brain. So the scientist relies on intelligence, but that intelligence comes from another source, and we know from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, verse 15. I'm seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So that's what we are up against. And as we will proceed further into this chapter, knowing the cause of all causes, and we see how things come into existence, and appreciate Krishna's energy, knowing that Krishna is the intelligence behind this whole creation. And that's the conclusion we should all come to. Okay, I have 1 minute. Thank you, everyone. Is there any question or comment here? Something? No? Thank you very much. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki. Ita go Premanande. Srila Prabhupada ki. CC, RB 6.15.
1.5?
1.5.